other software for facility management. And the facilitator really showed us what it looks like. Most importantly, the Instanta software. Okay. And I was able to pick one or two or three or more things from the software and what they actually do. And finally, I'll say that my key points from the last class was that when we are choosing all this software, we should look for the ones that are accessible in the sense that it's not only domiciled only on our phones, the ones you can use on our phones, on our laptops, and so many other gadgets.
Super.
So that was my take home.
All right, good. That was good. Thank you. Ramoni?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. In the last class, what my takeaway from the last class has to do with when the facilitator was trying to operate the Instanta, the software itself, the interface. I got to know that many of our routine activities can actually be computerized, and then we can be put on alert through the app when we'll have to do inspection, when we'll have to do operation, when we'll have to do the feedback and all that. So it was an hand up now up to the point that everything can be computerized. Then coupled with the fact that the CMMM, the CAFM, and other aspects of the software applications, with the example you gave, I discovered that CMMM was just the basic that mainly centers on the maintenance operation. So it doesn't have to do with the space management, the some other modules that could have been in place if one has to do with other activities apart from the maintenance itself alone. So those are the things I got from the class.
Thank you. Very good. Olayemi.
Yeah. Last week's class actually talked about FM software for facility management in particular. And then it actually reveals to us some of the things that the software can do. And we have various software. We have those that are hosted and supported from abroad, and those ones that are supported within the country. And then our facilitator advised us that it's better for us to get those ones that are supported, that have support within, so that in case we have any problem with the software, we will not have to fly in an expert from outside the country, which can lead to unnecessary costs. And that for us to be attended to quickly, it is better for us to do that. And then he told us about the challenges that some of the software that we have, that other professions, they have their own software, the accountants, the HR, all those things that are not so complex. But why some FM don't have software? And what some of these companies does is they would tweak FM into those particular software that are meant for the general thing, which will not deliver the full feature that FM software is supposed to have. And then give us the example of the Instanta and took us through what the feature that it can do: asset management, budget management, plant maintenance, inventory management, and all sorts of. So give us all the all the features that we can look at, and that it depends on how far we want to go. We want the software to go, that will determine the cost, and also different ways in which it can be, the software can be bought as what's called, I've forgotten the term.
Software as a service or standalone installation or server-based.
Yes, yes, as that one. And also, if you want it to, if it is one that is customized for you, or the one that is generally for everyone, you understand, the ones that can be adapted to your application, or the ones that are based, just like you have Microsoft now. Now it can be adapted, I mean, it can be used for anything, it can be adapted to different uses. But there are some that are customized for your company.
Yes.
Directly,
Yes,
so
yes,
that
yes,
you,
sure.
yeah, that's then the prices will change, and then it told us the
Sure.
most of payment and all those things. Then some of the features that it should have accessibility, it should be user friendly, it should be secured, it should be many other things, features like that he gave us during the last class about the software. And then I also asked him about questions about how possible for, is it possible for them to do white label, which he told us that it depends on the negotiation, the agreement, that it can be, you can have white labeling and then semi-white labeling and all those things. So those are my take home.
Okay.
So I was relating it to what we already have worked with, and then I asked where can we categorize that as integrated work management system, workplace management system. So he told us that actually FM is a bit different, can have the one that can generally work with any other. So those are my take home from the last class.
All right, good. That was quite elaborate. Thank you so much. Ibukun, were you in class? Are you able to speak?
Yes, I was in class.
Okay, give us a short 1 point highlight of your takeaway.
Okay, the one.
Single point highlight, yes. Yeah, one key highlight, yeah.
The one key highlight, but basically the interface. Instata, what do you call now? Technology, FM technology too. So the interface, you can see it, and then how it works in terms of how the customers make requests and the different categories. The advantage is rather compared to having to depend on spreadsheets and of course manual processes, because these ones bring the reminders. Also showed us how you get reminders for when certain gadgets are due for services and all that, unlike the normal one that the spreadsheet that you have to normally remind on your own, remind yourself rather the case and all of that. So it takes off forgetfulness and all of that. So yes, these are some of the advantages that I also shared with us.
Okay, thank you. Ansem, were you in class?
I hope you heard me.
Yes, your audio was good. Thank you. Thank you, Bukun. Ansem, do you hear me? All right, so let's hear from Peter Lawal. Peter. Temi, can we hear from you? Were you in class?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm actually outside right now.
Okay, so you're in a noisy place. All right, Chinere, give us your highlight from the last class.
Last class I was actually on transit from Abuja to Lagos. Like I said when I arrived, and I couldn't join. I was there just before the Instanta demonstration, but I couldn't get much from that. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you so much. All right, let me hear from
Sorry, sir. On no time, I had an urgent call. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Go ahead then. Go ahead.
Yeah, Instanta. I've been fortunate to use Instanta when I was in some practical section in Unilag, and it's indeed a user-friendly software. Actually, there we use it to do asset register, and it was really user friendly. And another insight I got from the last lecture was when the lecturer started telling us that you can actually use on your mobile devices, whereby people can make requests for services, and you can attend to some certain needs on your mobile devices. That's the point for me.
Okay,
Thank
super.
you.
Thank you so much. All right. So who else is there that wants to speak? Give us your takeaway. You can just raise your hand and I'll point you out. Gabriela, were you in the class? Do you want to give a takeaway?
Hello, sir.
Yes. You were in
Yes,
the class,
I was
right?
in the class.
Okay.
Yes, so it was insightful to know that. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It was insightful to know that there are ways to capture some of the aspects that has to do with facility management. And then when he introduced the software, the Insanta, and was walking us through it, though the class wasn't clear for me, but it was, I really appreciated the fact that there is a facility management technology already ongoing in Nigeria.
Sure. Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Lamide. All right, I'm going to. Lamide, you're in a very noisy place.
Yes, I am, sir. That's
okay. All right, I'm going to switch straight to the class. Today's class, we're looking at facility management business. In today's FM industry, the facility manager will be successful and stand out if you're able to seamlessly combine business skills and a broad scope of technical knowledge. So there are so many things you're learning about how to manage your buildings, manage your organizations, manage the people, right? But there are certain business goals that needs to be met as part of that management process. It's not enough to be technically savvy. You must be able to understand the importance of FM to the business organization and their operations. You're learning strategies for internal marketing as well as external marketing. So in essence, you are learning how to become an entrepreneur within an organization. Learning to understand why and how business leaders think will enable you to be able to provide the kind of solutions or support to give them success. So we're looking at business world basically as it relates to FM business. And in that respect too, we are looking at what it takes for you to run a business. What are the different types of opportunities in the FM industry? How do you register a business in Nigeria? How do you market your business? And then we'll look at the FM industry in terms of the kind of contracts available for facility management. If you don't already own a business, I'm sure you should be thinking about that now, right? But you don't just start a business unless you know something the business is going to do. Okay, and that's the first thing, the business idea. The business idea usually will look at the space, your domain, where you have knowledge. Don't let anybody deceive you that you can start a business doing something that you don't know anything about. That, in fact, that is babies. You should start a baby selling business or a baby manufacturing business. Oh, your passion. No. You start a business that you not only have passion for, but you are knowledgeable in the domain. okay? So every farmer that sets up a farm doesn't have a clue what farming is about or how plants or animals grow will be poor from his investment, because others will use that farm to benefit themselves, and he will be the loser out of it at the end of the day. Any trader or any kind of business you want to get into, you need to first be in that domain, okay? So in facility management, we'll normally say, learn about the industry, apprentice or work, or become familiar with what facility management is about. And then you can now develop a business idea. Usually, the business idea will be based on an opportunity you see in the industry, a gap, something that is lacking. You see that there's a need and you want to fill in that need, right? So that's how to start the whole idea of starting a business. And then you look for niches. Now, even if you found a need, an opportunity, or a problem that you want to solve with your business idea, you need to also realize that you are not the first to think about this, okay? If you think about facility management today and you narrow down to a particular niche, it's a particular service category within FM, you will find hundreds of people in Lagos in that particular area. But what you want to now do is find areas where even within that subdomain, they have not been fully served, or there are ways you can do it better, faster, package smaller or package bigger, just something that makes yours a little bit different. So when somebody says, there are so many people doing this, what is your own unique selling point? These are things that need to be figured out early enough before you even start, all right? So whether you want to make something cheaper, you want to make something come out faster, you want to do something that will be, easier to use than what's available in the market, those are the ways to look at your niche. Now, like I said, you must become an insider to that domain so you can understand the markets. There are too many people that have gotten their fingers burnt just trying to take advantage of an opportunity, see a gap in any industry, jump into it. But you must become an insider, you must understand the market, you must carry out feasibility study. Now, this is not a complex process. For facility management, it's not a complex process. It's all about asking the right people the right questions to get the right insights to let you know whether what you want to do will be feasible, to be profitable, to make an impact, or to arrive at the goal or destination that you set for yourself, okay? And then you start by experimenting. The mix and match idea is to experiment. In business strategy, they have what they call the minimum viable product, the MVP, right? So you don't come out, rigid at the onset and say, this is exactly, I figured everything out. Because you're not very sure of, even if you have gathered data, you've done feasibility study, you've talked to some people, you still need to, you come up with options. It is from those options you begin to approach your primary target audience and get a sense of what they will prefer before you now say, yes, this is it. This is my final product. I'm going to move in this direction. Now, to progress from that idea, you now need to write it down. So when I hear of people saying, do business plan, I've seen so many complex business plan templates, which basically takes months and months and months of brainstorming and writing to put together. But the truth is, for a simple business idea, a business plan could just be 2 pages or 3 pages. A business plan is a plan, and a plan basically is a series of questions you've asked yourself for which you have provided answers. So if you sit down and write a question, what industry am I in? And you provide an answer. What do I know about this industry? You provide an answer. What are the gaps I see in this industry? You provide an answer. How can I use my knowledge to close the gaps? You provide an answer. When can I start? What are the processes I must go through? You provide answers. How much would I need? You provide answers. Who are the first customers I should target? Which kind of customers should I target? You provide answers. How would I reach out to those customers? You are creating questions that will end up as subheadings that can be expanded into multiple pages later, but you are creating answers as much as you can so that you can get a picture of what's in your head right on paper. Many people have very brilliant ideas, but it stays in their head until it is written down. That idea is not yet a plan, does not become a plan, okay? So registering your business, we'll talk about that in a bit. Nigeria is not a country where you go to someone and say, I'm a facility management business or engage my company, and I'll say, you know, it's just me, right? So there are some industries, there are some professions like accountants, lawyers, maybe quantity surveyors, estate surveyors, valuers, and stuff like that. They tend to be able to just bring their name up and say, my name is my company. But if you look at those organizations, they have limitations. There are certain contracts that they will not give to a business name. A business name is your name is your business name, for example. It's okay. But some organizations will not have any dealing with a business that is not incorporated or that is not registered. So registration at the simplest level is a business name, right? Which means it is registered. You can open an account in the name of that business, separate from your own name. But a business name and an individual are one and the same. So if you have a venture, an enterprise that is just a business name, there's nothing that separates you and the company. Okay, so that's the whole idea. But if you open an incorporated organization, then you can now say this company is limited liability, which means that the company stands on its own. I stand on my own. I will talk about that in a bit as well. But as you register a business, don't forget to register for tax number. Every organization, in fact, right now, what CAC has done is that if you open a company in the website, your tax registration is connected automatically. Every year, CAC and Federal Inland Revenue, they want to, they harmonize their database in such a way that when you have a company in CAC, Federal Inland Revenue will have to ask the question, is that company working? If the company is working, have they filed with us? So while you are filing with CAC, you also need to file with Federal Inland Revenue. Even if you are not yet fully operational because you're in full-time employment or whatever, ensure that you have your tax registration and always file to say, I am not yet fully operational. And as you file that on a yearly basis, you are compliant. It's a good idea to have a business office, but I tell you today, you can swap that. Start with a website, start with an Instagram page, start with a Twitter page, start with a Facebook page. Those are the technologies, the ways to reach people faster today than your location. Of course, there are so many businesses that must have a location, but I tell you, not all the service industry businesses like project management, you need a physical location because you go out to meet people and people see your services online. They can buy it, provided you can deliver the service from where you are. But of course, at some point in the future or while you're growing, you can now set up an office. Don't forget that acquiring an office automatically comes with acquiring, you know, an employee or something, because it will be a bit awkward to have an office that you say opens from 8 to 5, but you have to lock the door every time you leave to go and do something outside, right? So that comes with some kind of management costs. And then your marketing plan. You know, some people have made this wrong notion or thoughts or conclusion that because I'm very good in this domain, I can solve this problem. I have designed a solution. I know how to do it. Anybody that sees my solution, they will buy at once. They will fall in love with it at once, right? And because you have that good product or service designed, ready to go, you expect to be rich. You expect anybody that hear about it to buy it. And look, marketing is the soul of business. So anybody that says, I cannot sell, I cannot market, let others do it for me, let me be producing, let me be the one to provide the solution, I will tell you, go and look for a job, okay? If you want to run a business, no matter the type of business, if you don't build your marketing and sales capability, you cannot succeed. At best, you will end up as an employee without salary. You know how employees without salary work? You'll be doing the work. Someone else will be coming to buy it from you at peanuts, and be going, who has developed its own market for your product, will be going to sell it at 4 or 5 times what you are making it for. Because you didn't get the customers. You're just busy in one corner producing the results, right? Someone will be using his own customer base to take your products and go and sell. You cannot be ungrateful, because markets and the access to people's pockets, that's everything about business. So don't think you know anything or you can deliver anything if you cannot market. So your marketing plan is as critical as any of the steps that we have talked about. In fact, before you even get to that point where you have created a website, you've created, registered a business and all that, it's a marketing plan that even drives it. And for many of us, the marketing plan sits inside the business plan. So there are 2 types of business plan. There is the one that you use internally. This is the one that you use to guide yourself and your team and whoever is going to come in as your partner. Then you have the business plan for external, right? So the one for internal, the one we're going to use as our standard operating procedure is the one that will have the marketing plan inside, okay? Now.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. I think there's a slide, right? It's not showing. I don't know whether it's intentional.
My screen is shared. Are you guys seeing my screen?
I think it's
I can see your screen, sir.
Talking about the same screen. That's why it's not changing.
I can see your screen.
If you are seeing it, if I don't move it, it will not change, provided you are seeing it. All right. Okay, so many people think that as soon as you think business, you should have money. That once you have money, you can invest into the business. My experience is that all the money that you will put into your business, if you go into the rush of spending, the money will finish and the business has not even looked at. You have not even seen anything out of the business. So there are little amounts that you can spend. We call this bootstrapping, right? Where you dip your hands into your savings, you pay for the little things that you can pay, and you use your time more for the business than to employ people, pay rent, subscribe to all kinds of things, and run out on your funds. So if you start first with your own source of income, you use it to test the market and see whether revenue can come your way. When we started at Max-Migold, I felt so confident that I had this 15 million loose change in the bank. This 15 million will help us to run the business, do this, do that, start the first training, get more people in, pick 1 or 2 contracts. And we're trying to run at a burn rate of maybe 1 million, 1.5 million a month after the first initial setup that we invested in. By the time we finish running out on all of that money, in less than 9 months, we had not made a single sale. At that point, it almost looked like I hope I didn't make a mistake, right? Because when you finish running out on all the funds that you have, and you've not made a single sale, that's when you realize that you have made a mistake. But from my experience, my advice would be, if you have that 15 million, divide it into 3. Lock 2 parts away and take 1 part, which is the 5 million. Use this 5 million to plan all that you will do until you get money in. If after all the efforts working with this 5 million, nothing comes in, you fail, you still have 2 left. You bring the next 5 million. This time, you have retweaked your plans. You have made some adjustments. You've learned from the recent mistakes. There's a very high likelihood you start making revenue from this second bit. that you may not even need to touch the third bit. Now, if you need to touch the third bit, it's because you now fully understand how you will use it to scale. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of scale that will take you to your desired destination for that business, but it will give you a sense of steady cash flow. Now, the reason you need to get to that point is no investor, angel investor, capital market investor, or any other investor you can think of, none of them want to put money into a business that has not been proven. That's why you as a facility manager or as a businessman must first find a way to prove and say, oh, when I put in the first 5 million, I didn't make any money. But when I put in the next 5 million, I made 500,000. That means money came back, right? So if I put in the third one and I make 1.5, somebody says, okay, there's a traction. There is a momentum that this business is building. Then let's see what we can do with 500 million. I mean, if 15 million brought 2 million sales, then let's put 500 million. Let's see how 500 million can give us, and so on. That's how business. You must roll before you get propelled. All right. So basically, I've talked through this. You look at all you want to do. You create your plan, you test it, and then you launch it. For business plans, I told you it's just a simple. Ask several questions. Ask as many questions as possible. Provide answers. See your business plan like a frequently asked questions, FAQ section in websites and softwares, right? So see it as you criticizing yourself, providing answers that are in your head down. That's basically what your business plan is. There's so many templates for business plans now that I will not even want to spend time on it. But bottom line for me, and what I'm telling you, what I'm sharing with you is, don't spend a whole long time creating a business plan. I did 6 months working on a business plan. When the business now started testing out my mix and match options, I realized that the business plan and the entire playbook I developed over 6 months, I was not implementing up to 25% of it, right? I could have spent that first 6 months with a simplified business plan of 2 weeks or 1 month, and I could have spent 5 months, ideating and testing the waters. So you can get a sense from that, because unless you have investors already on ground, they already have the 500 million in the bank. They say, look, you know what? Go and do your business plan. When you bring it, we'll just roll out the money from scratch. We're taking the whole investment and we're taking the whole risk on you. Oh, well, when that happens, then you can spend the 6 months doing your business plan, so you can have a very detailed document to show them, and hope that all their money that comes into the business will be used for the experiments that you should have used with that you should have done with a simple business plan. All right. So I said marketing was everything, right? You are not marketing yet, but you want to test the markets. You want to ask the market some questions. I have a few ideas for this business. Those ideas are focused on certain classes of people. And those people I should be able to describe. When I can describe them, I may not be able to reach out to all of them, but I can reach out to a few samples from my network and from networks of those around me, and ask some of those questions. If you found this type of, will you buy? If somebody produced this solution, or do you have a problem in this area? How do you solve this and so problem? You are using that to check and see what the market will be like. So that's basically what the market survey is. It could be very simple. It doesn't need to be a complex. There needs to be a complex process. It could be informal, where you actually take time visiting uncles and aunties and friends and relatives and neutral people. Be careful not to do your business market survey around people who like to tell you what you want to hear, right? So get out of your comfort zones when trying to book appointment. Use LinkedIn, for example. Reach out to people. Just ask questions. Use other networking opportunities. Reach out to people that you have probably not talked to for a long time, and just get the idea. They are neutral people who don't have any nothing to lose. They don't need to lie to you or try to massage your ego or make you feel happy unnecessarily. Yes, so if you're starting a business in Nigeria, think about what you want to do. Could it be a business name? Business name is one of the options that we have here. A business name is same as you, basically, but it could be a different name. You have the private limited company. A private limited company is the LTD. That's the one we all mostly are familiar with. Oh, this is a limited liability company. It means that the organization you are creating will stand on its own as an independent entity, a legal entity on its own that can sue and be sued, that can owe and needs to pay as itself. If that company owes and it cannot pay, I am not liable. That's what it means when you say you have a limited liability company. A limited liability company in Nigeria used to be 2 to 50 people. Owners could be up to from 2 to 50. But now you now have the opportunity of having a single limited liability company, a sole proprietorship. Before it was a business name that used to be sole proprietorship only. Now you can have a business name that is, 2 partners. Now you can have, with these new changes to the CAC rules, you can have a business name that's 2 partners. You can have a limited liability company that is 1 individual, a sole limited liability company. A public limited company is the same as a limited liability company, but with the possibility of having more owners than 50, infinitesimal. Infinite amount of shareholders can belong to a public limited company. And a PLC has more stringent controls, has more public oversights, by regulatory authorities compared to a limited liability company. A company limited by guarantee is an organization that you register as a non-profit. Limited by guarantee means that all the people who sign up to it are signing up to say this is a non-profit, it's a social impact, it's a non-governmental organization, it's a business that does this and that, but we're not going to take a profit out of it. Okay, so if you want to set up an organization and you want some kind of social messaging as your approach, then you can open a company limited by guarantee. And there's really no restriction. You cannot say, because it's facility management, I cannot open a social enterprise for you. You can open a social enterprise for any kind of business. The only thing is that when there's a surplus in the business, you reinvest it in the business just for transparency. And then there are certain agencies of government that should regulate how funds belonging to companies limited by guarantee are spent. So it's not just something you can just appropriate yourself. And then you have the unlimited company. The unlimited company is the same as a private limited company, just that their liabilities are unlimited. It means that whoever formed the organization, whatever he owns can be used to offset the liability of such an organization, right? So the only advantage of an unlimited company is the fact that you can do business with more confidence with them, knowing fully well that they cannot just become liquidated, they cannot just become insolvent, because all the owners who form that organization, whatever they are worth in life is a standby guarantee for whatever that organization is going to owe. Okay, so that's why, of course, there are not very many. I'm sure many of you have heard of ExxonMobil, right? And a few other companies in Nigeria that are unlimited. They are just the same as private companies, but unlimited liabilities. That's what it means. And then you have the incorporated trustees. Incorporated trustees just basically the kind of organization you set up to create public or private groups of interests. So social clubs, professional bodies, any other institution that for membership that will be represented by a few trustees. You create an incorporated trustee. These are the companies. Types of companies that we currently have in Nigeria today. Why should you register your business? Of course, your name. You know, when you go searching for names online, I say, this is the name I have in my head. It then stays in your head for 5, 10 years. By the time you now go and put it there, you have 3 or 5 different people that have used that name or use it in different formats. You don't even have a way of reconfiguring it to use it again. You have to start another one. But of course, it's only when you are serious about starting your business, because the moment you register, you become liable for tax returns on an annual basis. Okay? Of course, you get a sense that you are ready for the business. That's why you registered it. So if you are close to that point, then please make the step. And the Corporate Affairs Commission in Nigeria has made a lot of advancements recently, a whole lot, such that you can actually sit in your office or your home and register a business complete. As at last year or last 2 years, you still needed to take the document after you have printed it. You need to print it out and sign it and go and give it to them for them to, stamp and do whatever. But now, they stamp duty, you put your digital signature inside it, they finish everything, you pay with your card, the registration fee, everything is done online. Sit down in 1 hour, your business is formed. Including those areas where you have the memorandum of understanding, memorandum of articles what do you call it? Memorandum and article. That's the, something like the document that shows the corporate governance of the structure of the business. This built into the incorporation documentation. When you are filling those, you have to write those articles one by one. We used to get lawyers and accountants to write them. Nowadays, if you plug in what you want to do, a few ideas will come in. You type exactly the kind of business you want to do. Unlike before, you can just say, I want to be a shipping company, FM company, construction company, real estate company, oil and gas company. You list everything in one memo. No, they'll say no. Simplify it to what you actually have in mind. So you just put a few lists of articles, purpose you want, and you can adopt their own memo, which is aligned with the 2020, the new CAC law, the CAMA of 2020. You can just align to what the standard procedures that initiated there. And if you want to change some of the articles, you can go ahead and do some adjustments, and then your company is registered and you are ready to start business. Now, when you have registered your company as someone in the service sector, there are certain things that are basic to all companies. For example, you must have your tax registration. That's the one we call the VAT registration, right? That VAT registration, when you register for VAT, now it comes with registration of the company anyway. So only those who have registered their company before, then I need to go and register this now if you didn't register for VAT before. Now, it means that you can now charge value-added tax on whatever you are billing people. And that money, you need to remit it to the government, to the Federal Inland Revenue Service, right? And then at the end of every year, you need to apply for a tax clearance. Even if you've not started doing business at all, when you file that we are pre-operational, they will give you a tax clearance that shows that you are pre-operational. Every year, they'll be renewing it for you, okay? And then when you start operating, there are employees, labor laws compliance like pension, NHF, PAYE, NSITF, and ITF. Sometimes you think all these things are just acronyms. You cannot play with them. When the chips are down, when those guys come after you, you'll be shocked. And the amount you're supposed to pay them is not really much. NSITF, 1% of salaries. ITF, 1% of I think same thing, 1% of salary as well. So if you're not yet paying salary, you're not due to pay those types. So you're not even needing any expenses in that area. But you still need to file with them to say, I'm pre-operational, I'm not doing much, I need a clearance from you. Because if you want to do business with the government, you actually need those certificates in place. If you want to do business in the oil and gas industry, you need DPRO, Department of Petroleum Resources, and NIPEX registration. Now, for so many years, many of us did not take all of this DPRO and NIPEX registration seriously. So we just kept doing our business. Every now and then, they will tell you, oh, the oil companies are bidding out their job, or everybody, they are looking for experts in this field. They'll come and meet us. so that they will form an MOU with us. So we can now sit down with them and develop every paperwork for them to go and win the job. And then they'll go into voicemail. Now, we too have wised up. We have gone to obtain our own DPRO permits now to say we are estate managers. So when the oil and gas companies want to bid out their job, we are there. So before those people who sit in the corridor of government bring the paper out for us to use our head to fill again, when they call me this time, I'll say, I'm bidding too. So they now realize that it's not only them that know how all these certificates and papers are holding people down, right? So we need to get our business to that point where we also get our DPR permits, our NIPEX registration, if we're interested in oil and gas job. All the ones I listed before are mostly for public sector government jobs. Now, interestingly, you'll be surprised to hear that there are certain local permits that you need as a facility management company. Just in this bid we're working with for the ExxonMobil, we realized that they are asking us to go and get environmental permits from some local government and some LASEPA agency, right? So to show that if we are handling the environment, that we have the proper license to do so. So don't think that in FM there is no permits. And then you also have SON approvals. If you are doing business that have to do with importation of goods, they call them SONCAP. So they certify that these goods are in good quality to bring in. Again, if you're in the management service business like FM, you also need to be able to approach SON and get a management certification, an ISO certification as well. And then for those of us in the real estate sector, we would have heard that when you want to open an account, because of Money Laundering Act and the rest, you need to get a clearance from EFCC or ICPC and agencies like that. So these are things that the government just puts in place here and there to control certain fraudulent practices. And then every year you produce an audited account. We have the Financial Reporting Council that is supposed to be like the regulatory agencies for all types of accounting. It is their job to ensure that if company A's account is published and company B's account is published, though both accounts can be compared so that there's no manipulation or deception to the public, especially when it comes to buying shares in these organizations. You, as a facility manager who is starting a business or trying to grow a business in facility management, you cannot stay outside the industry. And that's one of the points I brought up before. You must find a way to stay connected. So looking at all the FM organizations where you can become a member is also very important. The International Facility Management Association, you can be registered at ifma.org for international membership. I think the price for that is about $230 now. And then you can be registered if you are in Lagos, IFMA Nigeria chapter, 50K for first timers, 15K for renewals. And then IFMA Abuja chapter, if you're in Abuja. If you're outside these two cities, you can decide to align with any of those. So that's for the IFMA. They have the British Institute of Facility Management. It's now called the Institute of Workplace and Facility Management, IWFM. IWFM has a Nigeria chapter, okay, currently based in Lagos with, I'm a member of virtually all of these associations. So I know everybody in every of those circles. Anyone you want to join and you want information, just send me WhatsApp. I'll just send you something and then you can join immediately. We have the Association of Facility Management Practitioners Nigeria. Why all of these ones are foreign organizations that come in to do business in Nigeria and form chapters or branches of the organization. The Association of Facility Management Practitioners Nigeria is the official professional body for FM in Nigeria. It is the umbrella body. So if you don't belong to the AFMPN, even if you belong to all these other ones, you don't belong to the professional body in Nigeria. That's what it means. So that's that important. So you can be busy with all the other professional bodies, but you need to be part of the national body of FM. Okay, that's not listed here. I know I've dropped the link to join the Telegram group for some of you. And some of you have made the effort to, pay your membership fees, get a membership certificates, and so on and so forth. We need that to happen to everybody. Everybody should become members of AFMPN, and 10K, I'm not sure 10K is going to dig a hole into any of your pockets. But of course, it will give you an opportunity to network with other facility managers and be able to see, have access into opportunities. And then for those of us who belong to all these other professional bodies, the estates of yours, architects, engineers, and the rest, we're not saying stop, okay? The network continues because all of these associations also participate in the built environment. They work in the built environment, so you get to build a network as well. Some principles of business success: have an entrepreneurial mindset. An entrepreneur is not an investor. An entrepreneur is not an employee. An entrepreneur is an organizer of resources. He's also a risk taker. When you say have an entrepreneurial mindset, it means that you are so optimistic to the point that you can organize around resolving whatever risk others sees and seeing only the opportunities while managing the risk that others are seeing. That's what it means to have an entrepreneurial mindset. You always ask yourself, can it fail? And you always tell yourself, it can fail, but you go ahead all the same. It means that you have a mindset of matching efforts with rewards, matching costs with value continuously. Nothing like, oh, let it go. It's okay, we'll get by later. No, an entrepreneur is always going to match every naira for value. You ask yourself, why am I spending it? Even the time I use in doing something, why am I using it? Why am I doing it? Is it worth it? Okay, so we've talked about how to combine the opportunity in the market, the need, the gap you want to fill with your own passion, right? And then you must have fiscal discipline. An entrepreneur is someone that can defer or delay gratification. When I was in paid employment, I know how much I was earning. I know how I lived. When I started Max-Migold, the first thing I did was to cut my salary drastically. I can tell you what the numbers are now because I can laugh about it now. I cut my salary from 850K to 80K. That's what I did. And for 2 years, I was on 80K per month. Today, I can say, oh, well, 5, 6 years down the line, I'm paying myself, more than I got in paid employment before I started this entrepreneurship journey. But I knew how to discipline myself. That was the first thing, cut down so that I can allow the business to grow. But in all, the second thing was also very important. I never mixed my money with company money. So even though I was loaning money from my own accounts to the company to spend, I still paid myself from the money the company borrowed from me, right? I still paid myself my salary from it. That is discipline. You can't feel like buying something and then just transfer from the company account. Or somebody wants to dash you money, you just receive the money into the company account. Never. Never. You are separate from your business. And then have a kitchen cabinet of advisors. Many of the risks that we take, people have taken it before. So have people that you can interact with, people that can advise you. Get a sense of branding. And when we started out, I did everything about branding. I had a consultants commission. I had students on competition. I had certain agencies locally and abroad to come up with what the brand Max-Migold should look like. After all that effort, the person that finally won was the printer that I engaged for stationery production. When I told him, I said, just hold on. Once we get all the logo designs and we have chosen the one we want, we'll tell you what to do. He now said, can I also try my hands on some? So we had a half-day brainstorming, talking about, the same thing I've done with the other agencies and consultants. And I said, okay, he will bring something for me to compare with all the others I will be getting. I finally ended up settling for the one the printer did for free, compared to the one the professionals and experts did with all the money I pumped into design. But your brand is not just your logo or your colors. Your brand is the weight you put behind it. The activities that go behind your brand, the kind of people that represent the brand over time. So brand equity is not something that you achieve the day you created the brand. Brand equity is built over time, deliberate effort, making an impact in an industry, creating loyal ambassadors. That's how that brand is built, okay? And then as an entrepreneur, you have the tendency to need to do everything yourself. Of course, that's where you came from. You are the accountant, you are the financier, you are the operations manager, you are the marketing sales manager, you are the IT manager, you are the customer client relationship manager, you are everything in your business. That's how you started. You cannot lose sight of that. You cannot drop being that generalist, that master of all, that expert in all mindset. You cannot. But as the business begins to grow, you begin to drop low priority things for others. You begin to have freelance and virtual assistants who can do a few things. You begin to have maybe a PA or an operations manager, so that the repetitive routine things that you have set in place already, they can be doing those for you. Why the things that still require you to innovate and think and create structures around, you do them yourself. Okay. I don't need to tell you that your business is about profits. I mean, don't let anybody deceive you that because of your passion, you can just be doing it and pumping it and motivate yourself and not be making profit. If your business is not making profit, you are going to be stifled very quickly. Let's look at the FM market in Nigeria. What's the landscape like? Who are the key players? For almost 10 years, between 2005 and 2015, there were just 5, at most 10 companies. You can say these are the top FM companies. And for those years, the biggest property owners did not outsource their FMs. They held on to it. They will employ everybody, find a way to use their church mind to create solutions and systems within. And they were moving on. And the reason they were not able to outsource is that the number of outsourced contractors was not changing, was not increasing, they were not seeing innovation in that space. And then there were some fantastically failing service providers. Take a large contract, not provide value, take the client's money as much as possible, and the client is angry. So that was what was going on. But in the last 6 to 7 years, what we have been seeing is a massive influx of those service providers that we did not consider as facility managers or could develop capacity in facility management, suddenly developing capacity in facility management, creating other subsidiaries or FM departments and becoming big in the industry. So you have your mechanical, electrical, plumbing contractors. They moved in. Electra what's the name of this electrical company here? They moved in. Construction companies, they moved in. Julius Berger moved in. Kappa Diabetes, all of them have FM departments and subsidiaries now. They all moved in. Cleaning companies, Nigerian Cleaning Services, IFS, many of them, just list all of them moved in, right? That's how the FM industry kind of ballooned recently, okay? Now, for every organization that moves into the FM space, provided they are able to learn the FM body of knowledge and deploy systems and processes to give customers peace of mind and value for money, it's fine, because we need that robust growth in the industry. Now, the other thing that was happening then was, while you have those big names, the small names under were not growing, so there was nothing in between. So you have the big names, and you have those small ones that are just holding one site, one estate, one mall, one building like that. That's how it was at that space. They were not growing for so many years. So you're not seeing expansion to see competition coming from the bottom, and that needs to change. If you're going to deploy systems, strategies to grow your business, you should be looking at getting bigger. Okay, so in terms of the companies who have outsourced their FMs, there is a very low adoption of integrated FM by banking industry in Nigeria, very, very low. I can confidently tell you that less than 10% of the banks have outsourced or integrated outsourcing. About half of the others have bundles on bundled services they're giving out to different vendors, and they have hundreds of people in their staff in their payroll that are managing those services for them. So that's in-house delivery that is still winning. Okay, in the telecoms industry, yes, there's been a little bit of advancement there, with MTN going out and other companies coming outsourcing in the last few years. Now, in the tech space, all the fintechs and all these new tech companies, they don't even want to touch FM. So right from the onset, they are outsourcing straight away. So I think that's a good news. Okay, so they seem to be bringing the best practice in that area. Okay, and for many other organizations, they tend to want to see an FM company's proposition or value proposition before they can decide whether they want to outsource or not. If you are the in-house facility manager, it's actually in your best interest to outsource. Why? You will have better expertise brought in by the FM company. You'll have improvement in the systems for delivering services to you, and you'll have no pressure to keep expanding your team, because that's what happens when you are managing in-house. As the business is getting bigger, you'll be needing to expand your team, and you're holding on to control within. And with that, there will be a lot of organizational processes that affect FM processes. If a contract is outsourced, there are a lot of things that the FM company will do that will not have to go through procurement and go through stores and go through some of those internal company processes. They'll just be free to run on their own. What's your assessment of the market today? I can tell you that the opportunities are huge. I started saying that we're 5% saturation as at 2015, that 5% of companies have outsourced. But when I look at it today, even with the increase of outsourcing, I still find it a bit not significantly more than 5%, right? So there is more, but the opportunities are also increasing, right? So if there were 1,000 companies that could have outsourced and only 50 had outsourced at 2015, now you probably have like 150 or 200 outsourced now, but the total opportunity for outsourcing has grown from 1,000 to 2,000, right? So it will still be at the same percentage, but the total number of outsourcing in the market has increased. So that is the way the market is right now. The need for opening up more FM companies, having more tie-ups with brilliant startups in the FM space is huge, just fantastically huge. And so I would encourage you to not relent when thinking of a business idea or an industry to step into. What are the trends driving growth in the FM industry? The economic and regulatory developments, pressures from regulatory requirements, and increased competition, pressuring companies to evaluate how they conduct business. Companies are now looking for partners who understand their organization, who will help them protect their investment, take responsibility for facility services, deliver value so that they don't have to worry. We keep saying, focus on your core business, right? But if you that is going to come in and provide the services as a contractor for them, If you cannot even focus on my core business, I cannot sleep, right? I cannot be sure that you're not going to become an impediment to my business. So if I want to focus on my core business, I want to be sure that you coming to take the non-core aspect of my business away and solve the issues for me. You understand exactly where I'm going, so that whatever you are delivering will not be an obstacle to me. And then, of course, there's been a huge demand for outsourcing. It's increasing every year. It's increasing every year. There's expectation that there will be more outsourcing of management. You know, we talked about the two different types of outsourcing. You could outsource services, which means you have a cleaning contractor, a landscape contractor, a maintenance contractor. That's services. It is management outsourcing that we're actually looking at now. So that whether you are doing total FM or you are doing integrated facility management, that's where we say we are doing outsourcing. Otherwise, nothing much is happening in that space. It's still in sourcing or self-service delivery. Companies are having reduced margins, and as such, they want to lower costs. You know that the FM cost is the second biggest overhead cost for the organization, which means if they can lower FM costs, they can increase profitability. And that's one main reason why they are looking at our source partners who can do the FM better than they can do it. They are demanding for simplification and standardization of services. One kind of a template or a playbook that answers to service across 500 branches. For example, you run a bank, instead of having to design things one by one when you do in-house. Internal pains, performance and employee retention, attracting the biggest talents as employees, projects to deliver the best place to work. An organization that is not core FM organization will find it difficult to make FM career, worth it for the individuals they bring in, because they are used to their own organization and their own industry. And then there is market demand for value-added services. Customers are demanding FM providers with intimate knowledge of their corporate mission and vision. They want to have suppliers who can address the needs that they have not expressed because they know them so well. Okay, there are social concerns for the company's environment. That's people around, stakeholders of the company, as well as the environment, and then economic pressure. Shareholder wants value. And if you are bleeding all the value away in FM services because you don't know how, then the best thing the shareholders will tell you is our source. Get those who know how. So all of the services that that go into providing support for your core business can all be outsourced as services or as management, the integrated facility management approach. So scope of FM services FM is so wide that you could be operating in any of this space, any of these spaces. If you just pest control that you are doing, you are still a facility manager. You are a facility management company, and that's what needs to sink in. Because you are providing services and you are not providing management does not mean you are not a facility management organization. So caterers, fleet managers, HLC, landscaping, HVAC, just name it. CCTV guys, swimming pool, carpentry, you can just go on and on and on and on. You can see why FM contributes substantially to the economic development because of all these businesses that are affiliated to the built environment. In fact, more than a quarter of all organizations, more than a quarter of all employees engaged in productive work are all working in the built environment, and that is facility management. Because the built environment is two groups of people, and if you want to relate the impact or the numbers, you are probably dealing with 10 to 9, 1 to 9, 10 digits throughout life. And all industries. In fact, every industry, every sector of the economy operates in spaces. It is those spaces that we manage. It's the services that they need to be efficient and effective in what they do that we are providing. That's what facility management is doing, right? So we cannot say, oh, we don't serve an agricultural industry or we don't serve oil and gas industry. No, facility management applies to every industry, IT or telecoms, or just name it. All they need to do is have property and have people that need to use those properties to deliver services or support the organization. FM contracts could be, we talked about extensively all this, so I'm not going to put time here. You could be taking the total FM where you are working with vendors or working with your own staff. The integrated facility management where you are working with the vendors that are directly contracted to the client or vendors that are contracted to you, is still IFM. And then you have the single service contract where you have vendors for particular. So service and management, think those two ways every time you are thinking. Are we outsourcing service or are we outsourcing management? Okay. So whenever you are doing out-tasking or single service contracts, those ones are outsourcing services. Those ones can advance to the point where you have bundled services. So I can have landscape and cleaning and reception or whatever. I can bundle some services together in both hard and soft services. There are IFM models that you as the contractor will not have so much in terms of manpower or operational. You'll just be like one who helps to make sure things work. As a managing agent, you are expected to work as if you are embedded within the client side and you are providing oversight for the vendors that are providing services. An FM integrator is similar to an agent and a managing agent, but his job is more of prescribing what needs to be done, measuring how they are performing it, reporting back to the client. So if you are to compare a managing agent to an FM integrator, a managing agent is an executive arm of government. They step in to act on behalf of the clients. But the integrator is like a legislative arm of government. They are creating the processes, their inspection, they have all of these advisory positions they handle. The client is still in charge of the contractors, but the FM integrator is the one that makes sure that they know what to do, they do it well, they report it, you create your analysis, and you send back to the clients. Input specification and output specification, I'm sure we are familiar with this. When the client sets out in detail the exact services to be performed by the contractor in a prescriptive fashion versus when the client does not prescribe how you do it and you are able to come up with your own ideas, your own innovative ways of delivering it. As an FM contractor, every time you get an FM contract and the client leaves not much in terms of description or specification of the job that needs to be done, don't see it as a wiggle room for you to do anything you like and be able to defend it. Most clients that don't push too much for description and expansion of service specifications, they tend to know exactly what they want, even though they cannot write it down. So because of that, they will still push you to deliver what they want when the chips are down, whereas you thought you were having a field day when they didn't describe it well, okay? Then you must be able to measure the standard to which the service is delivered. You know, if you are a service provider, you must be able to say, this is the level of my service provision. And so using objective metrics, things that you can count and you can measure and you can record, okay? With the service you buy today, if you are the one buying the service as an internal FM, you're trying to contract for claiming, for example. I started having things like, palm front brooms. I started having things like all of those mundane, archaic way of doing things. When you move to a better facility or you now have an upgrade, for example, with that cleaning contract, the way it is currently written, still be able to serve your purpose. So we are putting a contract in place today. Think ahead to where the direction is going. So you don't just put a contract just to meet with today's requirements. Build rights to terminate, of course. Every time you have a contract, you should have the right to terminate in the contract. And then have a way of matching price and quality. In our discussion of procurement, we said, value for money is the right specification at the lowest possible price. And also have a way of doing benchmarking. Many facility managers don't even go outside their office. They don't even know what the price of things are in the market. Have a network. Go out once in a while to see the things you use in your facilities, how much they actually sold in the market. So that when you are giving a contractor a concession to say, use 30% markup, use 25% markup, you know exactly what the real price of that item is. And you're not negotiating to push some contractors out of the market and send them back to their village. Because sometimes you could have a price that, because you are not aware that this thing has gone up from 20,000 to 30,000, you are telling the contractor you're going to pay 31,000. He's probably thinking, well, let me see how I can do the job, because if I don't do it, somebody else will do it and things like that. He will not be motivated anyway. So that's the point here. So let there be a benchmarking process, a market survey every now and then. Okay. When you have a contract, ensure that you don't only negotiate the money, negotiate the communication plan, what emails will you get, what reports will you submit, how many meetings will you have with the clients, when should they hold, what kind of things will be discussed in them, how my efforts will be measured, if there are complaints, how I'm going to resolve them. Some things just need to be inside the contract, so you don't end up with a contract and then every now and then you are trying to guess your way of finding solutions to them. Okay. Size and complexity of FM contracts, the contract classifications are some of the things that you need to consider when putting the contract in place. The way a security service contract is structured might be different from the way a cleaning service contract will be structured, different from the way electrical service contracts will be structured. It's just for you to exactly first determine what you want to get out. If you're an internal FM, what you want to get out is the outputs that you want from that service. You cannot start from there. If this contract is performed very well, what will we see? That's your objective. You set out that first. If your clients don't know how to put their objectives down, you ask them the question so that they can tell you something that helps to write down their objectives on that contract. Some of the things that should go into a contract duration is very key. Some clients now ask questions like, if we give you this contract for 5 years, how many discounts will it give? How much discounts will it give to us compared to if we give it to you for 2 years, right? So because you want to have a foot in the door, you say, okay, don't worry, I'll do it for you at this price if you sign the contract for 5 years. But don't forget that in 5 years, it's only going to get worse for you, right? In terms of market forces, inflation and currency and the rest. But the only advantage you might have, and you need to do your own calculation to be able to weigh this out, is as you are working from year 1 to year 2, you are finding ways to become more and more efficient in the process of delivering that service, right? As you're finding more and more ways of becoming efficient, there's a high likelihood that you'll be able to spend less and less. Of course, that's what we have been taught and trained as facility managers. So performance-based contracts, it's similar to the output-based. There's not much difference between the two. It describes the owner's needs in terms of what is to be achieved, not how it is to be done. It's outcome-based. It's focused on outcomes, not inputs. For example, the cleanliness of the bathroom, not how it will be clean. That's what you want to see. An example given here, maintain a smooth, neatly trimmed, acceptable lawn, free of eroded or bare spots and weeds. Maintain grass within 2 to 4 inches in height. You see, once you make such statements, you're basically telling the contractor, if I come to check your work, or anytime you can say this work has been done, it must be within this parameters. Every time I come and check and I don't say it in this parameter, that means you have failed. I can write in penalties to deduct your money if I ever meet it above 4 inches, for example. Look at the prescriptive type. Mow and edge grass weekly, aerate spring and fall, fertilize in April and October, weed beds quarterly, use only commercial. So I'm basically telling you what you must do. describing the owner's needs in terms of what tax needs to be performed. All right, I'll just take a 5 minutes break. I think I should have doing this break. Yes, about time for the break. So let's take a 5 minutes break. I'll get back in 5 minutes. Thank you. Down to any extent, you can break it down. You can break it down using the input specification, the output or performance specification. That's what goes into the scope of contract. Duration, of course, the validity of how long contract should last, provider general obligations. This is an aspect of the scope of the contract, but written as obligations. So it's more like compliance issues, compliance matters related to what the contractor is supposed to put in place. Types of personnel, details of personnel, qualification of personnel comes in next. Client obligations, what the client should provide. So instead of having that assumption that client will give me accommodation for my workers, you need to be clear about those. And that's why everything you see here needs to be discussed and negotiated before even signing a contract, before you even agree on the cost of a contract. And that's one thing that the oil and gas and most of the multinational companies do that's very impressive. As they're giving you their bid to start filling and returning with all of that work you do in it, there's always a draft contract in it. So you see all of these things, all the terms and conditions they want to lay, all the expectations, they will put them in a draft contract. Your name is not just on that contract yet, but that's exactly what's going to happen. By the time you finish submitting and you win, you will see your name in the one that they're going to send finally, and you see the amount you've agreed, and the scope outline will be listed there. So those are the kind of things you're going to see in a contract: warranty, suspension, termination, intellectual property, insurance, liability, novation. Novation is when the client is trying to indicate if you, as a contractor, can transfer the contract to another organization. If you say, oh, we're no longer interested in the business, do we return the contract back to the client and use the termination clause, or do we innovate and tell them, oh, we have another partner who can do it very well and we can bring them in and do innovation and stuff like that? Can we subcontract? How can we subcontract? What is the extent of our liability as a contractor? What's the extent of the liability of the clients? You know, all of those issues need to be clearly stated in the contract. Set up a balanced FM service delivery model that drives value for your organization. So even if you are working for an internal FM organization, don't expect that the contractors will know everything. So don't just write them or tell them to write everything and give to you. No, it's important that you spend time developing your FM specifications such that you have what you write into the FM specification will align with the corporate strategy of your organization. The organization has to be reflected in that FM contract. All right. Let's hear your questions. Start the class for today.
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the elaborate class, sir. It was really revealing. Yeah.
The Lioness network knocking off. Looks like that's what happened. While we wait for Liami to get back in, is there any other question from any other person?
All right, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Ibukun. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Firstly, I just want to emphasize that actually I didn't get this slide. I don't know whether it's only me or it's general. I just want to emphasize that.
Chat Barakat up in in WhatsApp. I'm sure she will send it to you. I'm sure you may have to check your spam because once it's sent out, I'm copied in the email that sends it out, and I received it. Yeah, I received it. So just chat out or check your spam first before you chat out.
No, I didn't get us.
I've checked. Okay.
Shaki did not get as well, right?
I've checked my spam too.
Barakat.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm hearing from 2 people that they didn't get.
Same with me, sir. Ramoni.
Oh, wow, 3. So what happened then?
I've checked my spam too. So probably we'll get it.
It was today was a revision class. That's why I was surprised to see another module. I mean, I didn't know that it's going to be another different module. Today.
Well, the day I was having a discussion with the class, I didn't check with Barakat what your program had. I assumed with all of you that we have finished all the modules. It was when we have closed, she now said, no, you guys are not done yet. You still have 1 more class. And I said, I wouldn't want to shortchange you of that. If it's in the calendar, then we must have it. That's why we had this class. In fact, the technology class we had on Thursday, we inserted into the calendar, I'm sure. And then today we're almost going to miss it out, and I didn't want that to happen. I hope it was worth your while. So we're going to have, like the way we have planned, we're going to have the exam review. We've planned exam review for next week, Saturday. And then Baraka, do you want us to do the project briefing before then, since the exam is on the 17th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, good. So let's choose Thursday for project briefing, exam review on Saturday, okay?
So on Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday you put it for?
Yes.
Okay, project briefing on Tuesday. What's happening on Thursday?
Then exam review.
Nothing on Thursday, right?
Exam
So please, can you put the exam review on Saturday that will be less of work activities? I think it's better.
Please, let's have it on Saturday. More concentration on Saturday.
Yes, please.
Uncle Paul, why are you laughing now?
Well, I guess that's not for everybody because I prefer Thursday, but it's okay. It's on Saturday, so I'll be around.
Okay, all right. Barakat, it's only the project review that's remaining, right?
Yes, and exam review.
And the exam review. Let's do it Thursday and Saturday, okay?
All right, sir.
So this Tuesday, there will be no class. I expect that you start reading for your exam already, because by the time I do exam review, I start showing you some of the sample questions. You should bring your own questions. So as you are reading, start asking questions, write questions down between now and Thursday and Saturday, okay? So that by the time you bring your own questions, I bring my own questions, and we can relate. I want to spend quality time on Saturday with everybody, okay? The project briefing will be on Thursday, same time, Saturday for the exam review, okay? All right. I hope that works for everybody. Olayemi, let's hear from you.
Okay, maybe I'll come back. I've not yet asked my question.
Ibuku, don't worry, we'll come to you. Let Olayemi finish. You know, he was not that dropped off when he was talking. Olayemi, you're muted. Unmute and go ahead.
Okay, sir. Sorry, my network went up. I noticed that this slide you share with us is a bit different from the one that was sent to us. There are some slides there that were not the one that were sent to us. So maybe this particular will be shared with us because I was comparing the two.
Okay. Okay.
I saw that some pages were there that were not in the one.
Okay. Barakat, you got the feedback, right?
Yes, sir.
And what you do is this one that you gave me to teach, use it, just drop it in the group, let everybody have it at once, yeah?
Okay.
Once you save it into the format and drop it in the group. All right, thank you, Laemi.
Okay, all right, sir. My question is about Max-Migold. I just want to, at the time we're talking about, you mentioned that you like us to, patronize and and all of that, based on perhaps some questions too that will help us to rub things together. So basically, I just want to clarify. Probably, I've also checked your website, of course, and all of that. But I just want to share more clarification. The services that Max-Migold provides, specifically, and what you have your niche or area of focus. I know you do training and consulting specifically. Probably that's your niche, or there's more. And then yes, like I said earlier on, to the services. You listed some for us. There are about 60 there. So I just want to know that is it all that you focus on? I mean, that you do, or there are some specifics. And then and of course also talking about the management and the services aspect for a growing FM company. I will probably how was it for you? Did you start with the management? Talking about the outsourcing, you said you can do the management aspect, or you can also do some services and all of that. So did you start with services, or you started with management from ground? And what would be your advice for others in that regard?
For Max-Migold, we did not do services at all from the onset. We started with management, and it was strategic because we wanted to position ourselves as experts in the industry. We did training and consulting as our bread and butter when we started, right? So that was mainly because Max-Migold was all about me, Paul Erubami. So that's why I said, if you are good in any particular area, let the business be built around you first. You can grow out of that. So we started doing training and consulting because I was the product, right? It was when we now got to, let's say 2 years into our existence, we now developed teams, because what now started happening was there are many people who have received our consulting, who have received our training, who are now looking for solutions to implement, right? So that's how we started creating teams for the electrical audits and inspections and remediation projects. We started creating teams for innovation projects. We started creating, in fact, we invested heavily in energy efficiency because we saw that as a major gap. So everything from the survey or the energy audits to all the retrofits and projects to improve energy efficiency, we positioned ourselves in all of those areas. Now, to your first question, what does Max-Migold do? Max-Migold runs facility management as a service, providing management to PricewaterhouseCoopers. We manage a site for them, right? And what that means is that we have a facility manager, we have the FM team, we have the technicians team, we have cleaners, and virtually everything, like a total FM model for that particular client. Max-Migold runs electrical maintenance contracts for Stanbic IBTC, for example. So we do nationwide audits, do inspections, come up with scope of work for repairs and stuff, and we execute all of those works. We also do, we have teams that will take up contracts in renovation, in small projects and things that helps to upgrade facility, especially when you have to put some thinking around the solution, and you need a proposal that can help solve that problem. The Max-Migold has a team for that. repairs and renovations, to projects. Max-Migold now does these as part of our current business model. But we do not want to drop training, because when we started with training, training was more like what gave us the inroads, right? Now, we are using training to basically give back, and we don't want to stop training. So training will still keep being improved, keep being developed. And we are focusing a lot now on corporate training. So we will come into an organization and train their staff as a group, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week. The entire program you guys have done now in 3 months, we have it repackaged into a 12-day full-time arrangement where a company can decide to do it over 6 weekends of 2 days, full 2 days for 6 weekends, and they'll cover the whole content, and they'll have the same qualification that you're having right now. So as for training, we're still solidifying that area. And then because we are also a licensed recruitment agency, we focus only on our niche. Nobody asks us to provide secretaries or provide accountants or provide, no. When they need facility managers, they come to us, mainly because we have the network. From training and consulting and engaging in professional associations, we have the network of people who qualify for different kind of positions. And that's what we're using for the recruitment business that we run. So that's just like a summary of what we do. But what we are trying to do and what we are trying to tell you in this class is, if we are registered in your organization as a vendor, you have the things you normally give out to vendors to bid for on a regular basis. Let Max-Migold team also bid for it. So you have more competition in terms of the kind of prizes you get for the work you do. And then, even beyond that, you get better expertise in some of the solutions you are getting. Sometimes you just get vendors who bid for a job, and they are using the same old ways to provide a solution for you. We will deploy more recent, more technologically focused solutions that may meet your needs at lower cost. So that's why we are saying, get us registered as a vendor and let us be there like every other vendor doing things for the organization. Okay? And thank you very much, Ibukun, for bringing that up. I think that's a very good opportunity for us to advertise to the class.
Yes, that's what we wanted anyway. It's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So all of those, I just want to clarify. So all those services you mentioned there can be made available by Max-Migold.
Yes. Yes, if we're engaged, yes.
The clients, yes, if you're engaged.
Sure,
okay.
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Adeleye Adetayo, let's hear from you.
Good evening, everybody. Okay, so what I wanted to ask was, when you mentioned markup, when you said markup, that you can tell the contractor to markup of 15% or thereabout.
Yeah.
So to me, it sounds more like a breach of contract when you're asking somebody to increase price against your company.
How?
Did you understand me?
So a markup is applied on market price. If this guy is going to use his money to buy it in the market, transport to come and deliver it to you, and then probably install it for you, is he not going to have cost of funds for his funds and his expenses and then his profits?
Yeah, that was what I wanted to understand.
Oh, yes, yeah, must be markup for.
You just made me understand, because I know that when companies, I know that in interaction between companies and suppliers, for example, the price of what a supplier says, this is what it is. This is like, if you want to buy a laptop and the supplier says, oh, the laptop is 250. Meanwhile, you know that you can get the laptop for maybe 200 or less. I understand that these things, I understand what they're doing. But I understand that it is markup. And for you, when you said now that you can tell the supplier or the contractor to mark it up by 10%, 15%, I was trying to understand the reason why a facilities manager will be telling the
contractor to do the markup.
So now that you explain that, because it is cost of funds, makes more sense to me.
Now, let me explain scenarios or situations where you can be talking markup with contractors. It only happens when you are operating what we call an indefinite delivery quantity line item contract, or a contract that has a schedule of rates where all the rates are already pre-agreed, but there are some items that did not come up in that rate list that the contractor will now say, this item you're asking for is not in our rates book, but this is the price in the market. Give me money to go and buy it for you, or ask me to go and buy it myself. In either case, I'm going to do this work for you, and I expect a markup on it, because all the prices a contractor gives to you is already marked up, right? If I agree a price with the contractor, there is already a markup. I don't talk about the markup, it's already there, right? But if there is something now, because I have a list of prices that have been agreed, which markup is already implied, and then there's now something outside it that I'm not asking contractor to go and do, it's either I ask him to give me his own cost, I don't worry about talking about the markup, or I say, this is the price in the market, this is how much I'm going to give to you on top of it. So I need to discuss that for that kind of item, okay?
Yes, sir.
And organizations can have policies on markup. I work with an organization today that tells me, look, you know what, we can't do any markup more than 10% for you. So they will expect me to get a vendor's invoice from the market or wherever I'm getting that thing from, and then attach that invoice to my own invoice that carries that price of the market plus my own 10%. That's what they want to see.
So, okay, technically it's like in this last, let me call it 1 year or 6 months in Nigeria now, the inflation rate. So it's like paying the person not to lose money while servicing you in case of inflation.
Yes, in a way, yes. But because you don't necessarily go about trying to pay that person, you have to agree with the person. The price that the person is bringing, is it their own price, or is it market price? If it is market price, they'll bring it with evidence. That means they are being transparent in showing me what they are adding to it for me to pay them. Are you getting what I'm saying? So I can actually negotiate what I will add to it for you. That's the whole idea of markup. But if the person says, this price is 250, like laptop case you use is 250. I know I've done market surveys, 180 or 200 in the market, right? When I'm doing that negotiation, I can say, okay, I've checked in the market is 200K. He's asking me for 250K, which means he's asking for how many percent? 20% or 25%, right? Aha. So I now say, this 25%, is it not too much? I can now say, okay, let me use 20% to work it and say, okay, I can pay you 240 instead of 250. Because in my mind, I've reduced him from 25% to what? To 20%. Or I can say, oh, I'll pay you 230 because I want to give him 15%. Now, that is the way I'm negotiating with him. Now, but if he comes to me and say, this thing in the market is 200, but I want to charge you 25% on top, then we can be discussing that percentage as markup that we're negotiating with. I say, okay, take 20%, take 15%. So I can discuss markup because it brought market price, but I can also discuss his own price that does not include market price, but my own market intelligence tells me that this is market price. That is the basis for my negotiation. We don't want to price them out of market. It's unfair to know that that thing is 200K in the market and be telling this guy to deliver it for 200K. That's my point here.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
David, last question for today.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So as a semblance, or let's say follow up to what Ibukun asked, I just wanted to confirm. I had wanted to ask before though. For Max-Migold, is there a scope of the magnitude of contracts that Max-Migold want to take up?
Yeah, definitely.
For instance, is Max-Migold available for minor repairs when it comes to whether electrical, plumbing issues. Because for me, personally, in my work, we have need for plumbers and electricians, you know, in terms of outsourcing now. Not like we don't have before, but you know, most times it's good to have options like that. So I just wanted to know if we can call on Max-Migold to, okay, we have this thing, can you send your people to come?
Oh, yes. Yes. We will have a client. We have a client that will send us to a site in Ibadan to go and help them resolve Ibadan disco meter problem. We have clients that send our team. For example, Stanbic Bank sends our team to every part of the country to fix things. You understand? So yes, the scope is covered. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a major project. If the team that handles that particular department, if they are being called up regularly, they will build some kind of rapport. They will get used to the facility, and they'll begin to provide more solutions that even make such problems less and less as they work with you.
Okay. Okay. So that's good. And then lastly, I just wanted to know, is there going to be an SLA to be signed, or we can just call directly and say, oh, you need to come around and...
So usually that's driven by the company. For example, the team is registering with AXA Mansard right now, right? And they have sent us a series of forms. They are filling them to submit back, you understand? So before the organization gets listed, some companies have complex process. For some, they'll just say, send us your profile. We'll put it on file. We'll listed you. Give us your contact number. Whenever we need anything, we'll just call your guys to come and quote. And when they submit a quote, we'll say approved, you go and execute. Some companies are that simplified where there's no formal, you don't have to do too much. You just bring certain documents, they'll put it on file and record and list you. But for some, they'll ask for business continuity plan, they'll ask for quality management plan, they'll ask for draft service level agreement, they'll ask for many things. Whatever you ask for, the team will put it together and submit. That's basically how it works.
Okay, all right. Yeah. You can expect a call soon anyway. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That will be much appreciated. Thank you very much for that. And I hope I'll get so many calls from all of you so that I can stay focused doing this and the business can keep running on its side. Thank you so much, everybody. And I hope you have a nice rest of the weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. You too.
Bye.